What's up, Canada? This is Etienne from Signatures, and I'm just checking in on you. How are you? Do you know what day it is today? Today is Tuesday, May 5th, also known as Cinco de Mayo. Feliz Cinco de Mayo to everyone. May your day be filled with bottomless guacamole and margaritas. How great was it seeing the smiling face of the one and only Lisa Chicholik on the program yesterday? She is an all-star artisan and mother doing great things, and we are lucky to have her in our maker community. Big thanks to Lisa for chatting with us yesterday. Huevos Rancheros is a great choice for Mexican food. Just a reminder that all episodes previous to today's are available on our YouTube channel, which is a tap away by tapping the link in our bio. Now, what do you think of this shirt? Fun fact, it was screen printed by yours truly, a limited edition one of one. I'm wearing it in honor of today's guest. Today's guest was also physically distancing before it was cool. She is a motorhome queen, a dog mom extraordinaire, and most importantly, a wonderfully talented artisan. The great Natasha Paterson is joining us on the show today. So let's bring her in. Hello, friend.
Hello, how are you?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
Oh, see, good start. Baron's already barking.
I
Baron,
love it. We have a special guest.
he hears voices. He hears me talking, so he's going crazy, defending. Hey, Baron, can you come here? Out of control already.
That's awesome. So, yeah, for sure.
Good start. Good start.
Absolutely.
Come here. Come on. Thank you. Jeez. Shut.
Look at that beautiful studio.
Yeah, the very messy studio.
I love it.
Sorry.
No, all good.
But yeah, welcome to, there's never anybody normally in my studio, so he doesn't know who I'm talking to right now.
Okay, fair.
Under control.
Apologies to Baron.
Yeah, he says sorry.
How old is he now?
11 and a half, because those half years matter when he's old. He's 100 pounds, so he's old.
Yeah, I met him for the first time in Red Deer last year, and I couldn't get over how big he was.
Well, it's just one of those you assume because you see photos that he's just normal dog size, but
yeah,
he's not.
Amazing.
He was 7 pounds when I got him, and then he just grew.
How would you describe his personality?
I think he's just the dog version of me. Does that make sense? Like he's pretty introverted, kind of does his own thing, and I don't know, just goes on his hikes. He's pretty simple. Obviously, he's defending the studio right now. So besides that,
very honorable dog.
Yeah, look after mom. That's why when I work late at night, because I'm sometimes here till midnight, it's nice actually having him here. So it's good.
That is nice. So how are you doing, all things considered, these days? Has anything changed for you?
That's funny that you mentioned that I was already social distancing to begin with, because yeah, I was gonna say, besides obviously the normal no shows and going to the grocery store is different, my life is pretty much the same. I go hiking, I wake up, I come to the studio. So yeah, a few more online orders. That's really the only difference, to be honest with you. So
yeah, fair enough.
And my out of control dog.
All good. So just if my memory serves me correctly, you recently moved studios?
I didn't move studios. I moved a year ago. I moved my studio from Edmonton to Calgary.
Yes.
But then like a week ago, I physically moved again. So that was fun, just moving my house. And by moving my house, I mean moving into my motorhome.
Yeah, you gotta love moving, eh?
Yeah. It's up there for one of the worst things you can do. And I've done it 3 times in the last 4 years. So I'm over it.
Relatable. This last year was the first. No, this year it will be the first year that I don't move in like the last 3 years. So.
Perfect.
Yeah. So you're in Calgary right now?
Yeah. Back home. Even though a lot of people don't know that I grew up in Calgary, and then I moved to Edmonton when I was 17. So I lived there for quite a long time, and then I moved back home to be closer to family. So it's nice to be back. The city it's different than I remember
Right.
because I left when I was obviously like did adolescence here. So it's kind of nice rediscovering the city. So that's kind of been good.
I think I just remembered like probably the first interaction that we had, you and I. It was back when I first started at Signatures, and I think I was posting photos for an upcoming show, and I posted your photo, but I referred to you as a Calgary artisan, and you're like, actually, I'm from Edmonton. Can you change the caption?
Oh, did I? I don't remember. It's just say Alberta is probably the best way to do it because even now I don't actually even live in Calgary now. I live just south of the city in a super small place. So middle
Gotcha.
of nowhere.
Okay, so where's the motorhome? The people want to know.
Oh, so I live in Alderside. So it's south of the city, kind of just east of Okotoks. But I live in a really fancy seniors RV resort.
Oh,
So if you have
resort.
senior, yeah, if you have seniors that are snowbirds, it's kind of
Yeah.
like where you live. So it's like they were opening up the pool today. They were getting the pool ready. Not that I think I want to jump in that pool anytime soon, but
Okay.
it's got exercise rooms, which again are not open. But I don't know. It's a different lifestyle. Let's put it
Very
that way.
cool.
Yeah.
Do any of them like wear your apparel?
I don't think they have a clue who I am. They just
Okay.
know me as kind of the troublemaker, the one who's coming back at midnight and who leaves at like 8 in the morning.
That's
So
fun.
I think they're just making up stories about my life. So it's fine.
All right, as long as you're cool with it.
I don't mind.
So where has that RV taken you this winter? Anywhere cool?
Was meant to go to Vancouver Island and I didn't go, which kind of thankfully I didn't because I would have been in a weird transition when obviously this whole thing hit. But yeah, I went to Fernie and hung out there for 2 weeks and did the full winter camp. So
Cool.
winter RVing is a totally different ball of wax. But yeah, it was fun. Tons of snow. I was going cross country skiing every day.
Nice.
Baron was running beside me or
That's
riding.
awesome. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
He doesn't really
Letting the road run.
he doesn't really run.
Fair.
But yeah.
What sort of things does he like to do outside,
Him?
especially in the
Oh,
mountains? Yeah.
oh geez. He pretty much just walks a little bit and then lays down and eats grass.
Nice.
So
That's the life right there.
so he's not really active. He just hangs out. If you can put him near water, same thing. He just walks into the lake and lays down. So pretty much laying down in situations and just hanging out is his daily.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So what sort of like attracted you to the motorhome lifestyle at first? And how long did
Uh,
it take for you to get that like up to snuff?
I don't know that it is up to snuff. It's kind of just screwing up
Work
a
in
lot
progress.
and making a lot of mistakes. I used to road trip a lot in my early 20s. I know I don't maybe look my age, but a long time ago, it was always a tradition when we got a new vehicle, which was usually like a VW Golf. We'd road trip down the west coast of the USA. So it was just a lot of road tripping and a lot of traveling that way.
Mhm.
And I remember even at the time in my early 20s, we had spoken about getting one of the transit sort of motorhomes. This was before people converted their vans into homes.
Right.
And we looked at getting one of those, I think it was 24. And we decided it would be crazy and just didn't do it, bought a house instead. And yeah, it's kind of funny, full circle, 10 years later. So about 3 years ago, I was coming back from Winnipeg Folk Fest.
Mm.
And all of a sudden I was like, what am I doing? Why do I keep driving to all these shows and just loading up my car? There's got to be a better way. And then I kind of looked in the back of my van at the time and I was like, I could totally put a bed in here. I can make this work. And then, yeah, that summer I ripped apart my whole van, converted it into like a little tiny home. And
Crazy.
then, yeah, Baron and I went down the West Coast, which was interesting because it was so small and he's so big.
Yeah.
It didn't quite go as smoothly as I wanted. So it was good for traveling. It was almost better for day trips because you had like a fridge and you had your stove there,
Mm.
so you could go picnic really in the mountains. And then, yeah, last January there was a really good deal on like a full-fledged motorhome, and it was very impulsive, educated but impulsive. And I pretty much just went down and signed some paperwork and signed my life away. And yeah, now I've got a motorhome that you kind of have to use because it's not the cheapest thing. And
Yeah.
obviously when this whole thing happened, I looked in October into living into it full time and moving into it full time. And yeah, my lease was up on my place I was renting here in Calgary. So yeah, I packed up a few days ago actually, and just moved out there. So yeah,
Wicked.
it's kind of fun. It's cheaper. It's a good living. And I don't know, when things are chaotic, it's nice to just really simplify. So
Yeah,
I'm happy. I'm
I can
happy
see
with it.
that.
Yeah.
That's cool. So no regrets.
Uh, no regrets other than I always have to find a place to park it because people don't appreciate me just parking in front of the house. Yeah.
Okay. And
Besides that,
Baron's cool with it?
yeah, he's cool with this one. I was like, I had to go a little bit bigger because I looked at the smaller, skinnier motorhomes, and he couldn't even turn around in them. Like he was that big. He'd get in, and he's like, what
Like
do
that
I
scene in
do?
Austin Powers where he's trying to
Yeah,
back up.
yeah, pretty much. He backs up really well. But yeah, so I had to go a little bit bigger to accommodate my dog.
Um, I just wanted to give a quick shout out to your mom, who is one of our biggest fans on Instagram.
I
Is
saw
she
she was
watching?
watching. That's why I
Yeah.
said, "Hi, mom."
Hi, mom.
As long as
You're the
my
best.
mom's watching, then really that's all that matters, right?
Yep, yep. Keep liking our stuff.
Yeah, and I think
um,
a lot of you guys, if you actually, I don't know if you're artisans or if you're actually like customers watching right now, but you probably have met my mom because she's worked at my booth for years,
for
years.
sure, for sure.
Yeah.
So how long have you been doing shows now?
Um, 10, well, this last Christmas, Red Deer, it was my 10th year in Red Deer,
Oh
which
wow.
is just crazy. So 10 years, and then obviously I picked up different cities and started traveling further a little later on. But yeah, 10 years.
So was Red Deer the first big signature show that you did?
Red Deer was my first signature shows. Yeah, and I actually remember I was a waitlister. So, if you're on a wait list, you do get phone calls. And in that case, I got the phone call, usually like a Friday start. We load in on Thursday, right? And I got the phone call, I think at 6 o'clock in the evening. And it
Wow.
was pretty much like, hey, can you make it? And of course, when you're a new artisan, you pretty much like, okay, like, what do I need to do? I'll be there.
Yeah.
And I was told that I could show up at 6 a.m. the next morning to set up. Show
Wow.
opens at 10. So I
Yeah.
did it. And because I was in Edmonton at the time, drove down, and the booth looked terrible. Like,
I was just gonna ask, what did that booth look like?
it was pretty bad. Because of course anybody that does a signature show knows each place is different, and you might get a pocket where there's no lights above you. So of course that's usually the first mistake of every artisan, is you don't bring enough lights because you're
Yeah.
used to a table show where you don't bring lights.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was very dimly lit. But it was good. We did well, but yeah, it's learning.
For sure. And it's cool that you're still doing Red Deer to this day. So
Yeah,
obviously
it's one of the
obviously
few,
something
like,
that
yeah, a few I've had to not do them for whatever reason, but Red Deer is just that it's in October. Like, in my opinion, what else am I doing? So it's just always worked out the timing. So,
and last fall I remember it being so warm. Hopefully we get that again.
oh, you jinxed it. It always snows in Red Deer. It always snows in Red Deer. It's a thing we all know. It's like, is the snow going to happen for load in or load out? There's never.
Yeah.
So warm.
Um, I know you're talking about your booth, and I know you take great pride in how it looks, and it's one of the best looking booths that we have at our shows. Kudos to you.
Oh, thank you. I don't know
Um,
that I'd say that, but thanks.
no, for sure. Like, I want to know, how did the booth design process for you evolve over time?
Well, if you can see the mess in my studio behind me, if you could see on the other side of that polka dot wall, it's the many displays that I have made. And because they took so long to make, I can't get rid of them. So I don't know, it's just a progression. Some people just naturally show up, it's their first show, and you look at their display and it's amazing. And you're sitting here going, wow, like, did I suck that bad to begin with? Because, it takes years of figuring out how people shop, and every display, I sell clothing, which I still to this day say is the hardest to display and make look nice. So it's, yeah, you just kind of keep changing. You see what works, what doesn't work. And then now it's at the point where it's more, I have a cargo trailer I bring.
Mm-hmm.
So now it's how quickly can I set up?
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of the displays are bigger, but I don't have to set them up. Before, I used to travel in my van or my Golf, so it was more how compact could I make it. But yeah, I don't know. I figure I'm stuck in the booth for 3 days, sometimes 4 days. That it's, I don't know, I have to enjoy being there. So I
For sure.
kind of try to make it look like a little store is kind of my hope. So
Yeah, that's the vibe I get for sure. Do you ever do like mock-ups at your studio before you pack up, or
all the
is
time.
yeah,
Every time. Usually at the start of like a show season. Now I've got something I think that works, so it's not going to change too much. But
mhm,
before, yeah, I literally would sit there and you know how big each display is, each rack is, and you kind of map it out. And somehow, even after doing it dozens of times, that 1 foot you forget about it, and then things don't fit. And yeah, I think that's a weird secret talent that all of us have is we know how to fix things on the fly.
for
So
sure.
if something goes wrong, something arrives broken, we can make it work. And usually the other artists at the shows too, they'll help you out. They see that there's something
Yeah,
going terribly wrong and they'll come over and help. But
yeah. I was just gonna say it's really cool how you guys all lean on each other, and even if it's just lending a screwdriver or something,
oh yeah, usually it's
they're
a
always
step
there.
stool or a ladder. So
Yeah,
I bring a ladder now, so everybody's like, "Oh, she has a ladder. Can I borrow it?" And I pretty much now because I have space, I know that everyone's going to borrow it. It's usually that or light bulbs burn out or you need an extension cord. Those are and between that and like electrical tape, you can fix it all.
for
So
sure.
yeah.
Spricksealand just commented she's calling you. They're calling you Craft Show Ninja. I love it.
Something we get to be neighbors a lot at the shows, so I don't know how that works out, but there's been I want to say at least 6 or 7 shows where like actually side by side neighbors, so it's kind of
Those are the aisles that I tend to gravitate towards when I'm walking
nice.
around the place.
First person, you just want to buy more mugs.
Oh yeah, for sure. Um, do you have a favorite signature show city? I know we talked about Red Deer. Are there others that stand out?
Oh, I feel like if I name one, it's like I cut off half my
I know
customers.
I'm putting you on the spot. You don't have to answer.
Um, I don't know. I enjoy going out to Regina for I don't know. It's just like I feel like some of the smaller, well, I don't want to call them smaller cities, but I feel like they almost appreciate you coming a little more. They all come out, they all shop. It's like their weekend. Where
Yeah,
sometimes in the bigger cities, they just have more options. Like in Calgary or Edmonton, it's like one of 10 other shows. So not to say I don't love them as the same, but yeah, Regina. I have a weird love of Regina show, and it's such a smooth load in and load out too. And it's a weird thing. It matters to us. You
oh yeah,
literally just pull straight in, load out in 2 seconds, and it's easy breezy. And there's a good campground there that I stay at, so I like
good
it.
to know. Good to know.
Yeah. I plan my cities based on where I can park my motorhome when I'm doing my shows now, so it's good.
Super smart.
Yeah.
A true veteran of the game. There's a question that came in here about shows. It's
Oh,
asking,
okay.
do you have what's the most memorable interaction you've had with a customer at a show?
Oh, I don't
Or
know that
like, I would love to hear some of your weird stories because you're good for a story.
I don't know that I know one off the top of my head, but the longer I'm in a show, how many days it is, I start to say pretty ridiculous things. And
Right.
if a customer is willing to listen to me, I'll talk.
Fair.
So I don't know that I can think of a most memorable, but there's a lot of customers where I might not remember their face or their name, but I 100% will remember a conversation. So if they remind me of something we spoke about, I'll remember it. But yeah, I don't know. I don't
That's
know that I feel bad. I want to answer it, but let's just say I talk a lot. So there's been a lot of conversations.
is there like a prototypical customer that comes into your booth? Like, do you find it's often the same type of person?
Uh, no, I think that's why I'm probably lucky. I think people would assume I have a very certain customer and they'd be surprised to know that my customer is much older.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, no, nobody really. Usually I can peg them when they walk by if they might look. And then when they don't look, I'm like, oh, totally got that one wrong because we have
Yeah,
a lot of time to watch people walking by. Um, but yeah, mostly people just want comfy clothes or they're really more often than not kind of outdoorsy, so they kind of gravitate towards I guess the artwork and the nature sort of style.
yeah.
So yeah, pretty much that would be my I guess typical customer is the more outdoorsy kind of style.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
What got you into screen printing in the first place?
Oh, that was a fluke.
Taking it back.
That was a fluke. So I used to just design. I used to work for a magazine, so my background is graphic design. And it was in 2009. I was just, you know how you kind of have your side projects. I was just making artwork, and it was actually just after the Haiti like earthquake and tsunami,
Hmm.
and they were doing a fundraiser at the U of A, and they're just looking for artists to produce anything to silent auction. And I had just made a piece of artwork, which I had just come back from New York and fell in love with the city. So
Yeah.
I had all these photographs of New York, and I basically, someone might remember this print. It was mirrored with Jasper, which is my other favorite place. So like two
It's
loves for two very different reasons.
yeah.
So I'd made this piece of artwork, and I was like, well, I don't want to just print it out on like a laser printer. What
Right.
can I do? And I had taken silk screening classes at the Snap Gallery in Edmonton, I
Oh
think
yeah,
like
big shout out to Snap.
2006. Yeah. So way back. So 2006. And I was like, I wonder if I could silk screen this artwork. And I did. So I ended up silk screening a print, and I put it up at the silent auction. And I actually, that might be a memorable one. I met the person who bought that, who got that at the silent auction. So there's only one,
Oh,
and I'd
that's
only
cool.
made one print. And they came up to me actually at a show and said, I think we have one of your prints.
Oh,
And they
so cool.
explained that they got it at that silent auction. And that's literally one of my first prints. And then, yeah, so I started off silk screening artwork, and then it just turned into, well, what other medium can I put this on? And then it turned into t-shirts, and then
Yeah,
obviously everything just starts rolling from there, and you just build your business from there. So yeah,
cool.
that's how I got into silk screening, was just a little side hobby and trying to figure out where to put artwork and how to screen, sort
Makes
of thing.
sense. At
Yeah.
that time, did you know how to sew?
No. Well, besides like home ec, does that make sense? Like I could sew basic things. Like I was sewing my coin purses. I had a little serger, so I started doing the scarves, I think 2 years out from that. And then from there, I had worked with somebody who was helping me sew my own stuff because I couldn't find things that the styles I wanted, and the cuts I wanted. So
Hmm.
I'd worked with someone, and it was pretty much working alongside them for 4 or 5 years of them sewing that you kind of learn. Like I learned how to pattern make myself by screwing it up, and then they would help me tweak it. So you learn. It's
Yeah.
same with silk screening for the most part. Besides that one course I took, it's all self-taught of just
Wow.
screwing up a lot of stuff, like a lot of stuff.
Hilarious. Um, so I know nowadays your designs are super intricate. Were they like super detailed and intricate back then? And like, what's been the toughest part of navigating like how to perfectly get the screen printing on such elaborate designs?
Uh, it definitely was not elaborate to begin with. Like it was one of those things like I can silk screen a circle, which is actually
Yeah.
harder than you think
Okay.
to do right. But yeah, no, it's just I guess learning what you can get away with, and then just even changing. When I first started, I was screening with a water-based ink, which is a lot harder to use. And for a long time, that was all I was using. And just even though it was more difficult, I just went with it, but it had its limitations. So then, yeah, it's just a progression, right? So now I can go pretty fine detailed, even if somebody knows like my moon shirt or whatever. I only screen in one color, so that's also part of
Ah,
the tricky bit. Is if you can screen in multiple colors, you can add detail in the colors and the
right.
different layers. Where when I silk screen, it's one color, so the layers are all in the one. So I don't know. I kind of like the harder it is to screen, the more I like it, because
Yeah.
then I can find people who do silk screen, and they'll come in the booth and see it, and they know. And so that's the first thing I ask them. Oh, do you screen print? And they're like, oh yeah. And so they know that it wasn't as easy as it looks, if that makes sense. So it's
For
kind of
sure. It's your
fun.
little secret club.
Yeah.
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 What's the most difficult piece that you make, uh, like from start to finish? Is it sweaters or scarves?
Well, the thing that takes the longest is the sweaters, just because there's so many different steps.
Mm.
Um, I don't know. Maybe I just like to keep things easy. Like I'm sure it's not easy for other people, but I've done it enough that the easier it is, the more I enjoy making it. So it's usually more of what I make. But the sweaters, yeah, they would be the trickiest just because it's from pattern and cutting to actually screening like this piece of fabric to sewing it in. And then there's about 5 or 6 different steps. So yeah, I don't know that any are too hard, just because I would avoid it if it'd frustrate me if it was that hard to make, in my opinion.
Yeah. That's a very Natasha answer, actually.
Keep it simple. Even though it might be tricky to do, just still keep it simple.
For sure.
Yeah.
And I saw that you decided to start making masks. When did you make that decision, and how's that been going?
Good. Yeah, it's been a bit of a learning curve, because obviously I know how to sew, but not masks.
Right.
I hesitated for a while to, I guess, jump in on that, just because I'm never one to be like, hey, I can make money off of this situation. That wasn't it. But I was getting 2, 3, 4 messages every day of, hey, do you make masks? People don't know where to get them, or people that were making them were sold out because they were just had so much. And of course, watching the news, which, if anybody knows me, knows I listen to a lot of talk radio. And I kind of got the impression it was going to turn into, you need to wear a mask to do certain things. So of course I'm sitting here going, oh, that's a lot of people that are going to need these. So I kind of put it out there. Hey, let's make a few. I tweaked a pattern, and then, yeah, people have been buying them. So, and a lot of people, when they buy, they actually write thank you notes, because they're like, thank you for making these, which is weird. I don't know, a little different to me, because yeah, I'm happy I can help. And I've been doing bulk orders. Like one of the youth emergency shelters in Edmonton got lots for all their staff. And I just did another order out from like Newfoundland, which is awesome. Same thing, just people can't get PPE. So a lot of the medical staff are just having a mask of any kind. So yeah, and of course I put my style on it. The insides are all like a knit fabric. So it's all super comfy, because it has to be comfy.
It has to be comfy, and they all look great. I must admit.
I'm enjoying buying fabric, because normally I silk screen my own patterns on fabric. So it's been kind of fun, like being like, oh, these patterns are so awesome, and buying other fabric to sew with. So that's been fun.
Yeah, where do you source your fabric? And
oh, I can't share that.
You can't tell.
I can't share that, because
trade secrets.
Yeah, I was gonna say, obviously, like my knit fabrics, I have like bolts upon bolts. Like this mess behind me is just fabric. But yeah, the different cotton woven knits, it's been fun kind of sourcing those out and finding fun patterns for everyone.
I was browsing them on their website, your website, and they are pretty cool and very, very in line with your aesthetic.
I'm not going to make stuff I don't like. So that's just, I guess you get to that point with your business where it's like you make what you want. And so all of the patterns, I'd wear them myself. So yeah.
I got to say, it's really cool that you had your customers reach out to you asking if you made the masks. And I'm hearing a lot of the same stories of how people want to, buy masks from someone local or an artisan that they know. And I like the other day I saw, I think it was an ad from like Under Armour, like one of these big corporations that are now making masks. And I was like, why would I buy one from you guys when I know so many people that can make them? And
well, it's true.
Yeah, and like your dollar goes so much farther that way. So tell the people out there that are still looking for a mask, support your artisans.
Yeah, there's quite a few of us, right? And that was part of the hesitation to start first, is that a lot of my friends were making them. So I felt like I was almost like encroaching on their territory. Does that make sense? Like, you don't want to start making them if you have the same customers and you take away from your friend. Like, it's just kind of part of our community. We're not really there to kind of take over what someone else is doing. But it's at the point where I think anybody who's making masks right now would agree that there's enough to go around right now. And it's, everyone's supporting those local artisans. I don't know, it's kind of cool seeing all the orders. And it's nice because I see old names of customers who I haven't seen in a long time, or old friends even, and you see their orders pop up and there's like, they leave cute little notes, and I don't know, it's kind of nice.
That is awesome. Let's take a look at more questions that were sent in.
No, people actually sent questions, and I was so afraid that no one would watch, no one would be here, and it would just, I don't know.
No, we make sure to get the engagement. This question's asking, have you ever gotten your RV stuck anywhere?
Thank goodness, no. I don't even know what I'd do. I would look so silly, because it's like, I don't know if this is like a weird sexist thing, but if a girl got an RV stuck, like you look like you can't drive it.
Right.
I've gotten stuck in situations with my trailer that I've had issues trying to back out with a trailer. But so far, no. I have hit tree limbs because it's 10.5 feet high.
Right.
And so for a while, I didn't realize the clearance. So not stuck, but I have met a few tree branches. That's about it. I hope I don't get stuck. Oh my goodness, that'd be so bad.
Do you have like a dream destination to take the RV?
Not really. Not right now.
You've seen it all?
Definitely haven't seen it all. But I think I'm at the point where it's like not so much roaming in the RV as much as I keep looking for places I can hunker down. Just because Barron isn't like as cool with the different place every day as he used to be.
Okay.
So it's like I'm looking at places like before I was looking at places in Arizona that I could afford, but I don't know if I'm crossing borders anytime soon.
Right.
So I'll probably Vancouver Island. So yeah, I'm more looking at places I can hunker down and explore for long periods of time and kind of get to learn, the little restaurants or the little shops there versus I don't know. I guess I do want to go to like North New York State. I really want to go north and I think that'd be pretty. That's one of the few places that I haven't driven before, kind of like Vermont, all those areas. There's obviously mountains, but there's obviously like ticks and Lyme disease. So.
True.
There's that problem. Anywhere you want to go has like the one thing that when you have a furry black dog is not the best. And he brought home a tick once from well, I shouldn't say once, just a few years ago from California when we went down to the Redwoods. And it tested positive for Lyme, and it was just, it's a panic.
I thought ticks were an East Coast thing only.
Well, Northern California, and I think there's a few places on Vancouver Island, but not super prominent. But Northern California, there's some too. But very East Coast thing, and
for sure. I remember my parents took us on a family vacation out to like upstate New York, like the Adirondacks, like Lake Placid, and I was like, like angsty teen at the time, and I was just not having any of it. But looking back on it, it was such a beautiful destination.
What time of the year did you go?
Summertime.
Oh, okay. See, I want to go in the fall when all the leaves are changing.
Yes.
And like those, like the covered bridges that you always see on all those, like Saturday night TV movies. I have to see it.
Love it. I think we have one more question here. Yes.
Uh-oh.
Technical question for you.
Oh, gosh.
What's the difference between silk screening and screen printing? Is there a difference? Because you hear the two terms.
No, not that I know of. I'm self-taught. What if I give the wrong idea? No, I think it's just however you want to call it. Screen printing, silk screening.
Okay.
Screening by hand. I think no, they're all the same as far as I know.
Well, that clears it up.
Yeah, it seems like a pretty wishy-washy answer for someone that's been doing it for so long, but I'm pretty sure it's all the same thing.
Fair. And my last question for you, just because I know how much hours you put in the studio, I see it all the time on social, and even when I'm at the shows, how many hours you put in your booth setup, like you work your ass off. I want to know, what is the biggest misconception of the maker lifestyle?
Oh, that it's just easy breezy. Like we don't stop working. I don't know. I think the biggest misconception is that it's a normal lifestyle. Like none of us are normal. We all just work like crazy. And depending what your art form is or your medium, like for instance, people that are pottery, like they're working, months out to get ready. And I'm a procrastinator. So that's why you see the long hours. Like I'll disappear for 2 weeks and go away on holidays. But when I come back, that's why I'm working so long and so much, is because I'm really bad at time management, even after 10 years. And I always have this idea, it'll just take a few hours, no big deal. Meanwhile, like 2 days later, I've never made it to a show yet with the full list of what I wanted to make. Not once. I've always had to be like, there's no time. There's no time. And so I think the biggest misconception is that we have a normal life and we have actual time. Some people do that maybe are better with time management. I don't, but who knows?
All right. Solid answer.
Yeah.
So for the good people out there wondering, how can they continue to support Whiteout Workshop these days?
Oh, online, definitely. So the online shop is it's there. It hasn't been updated because I think everyone is kind of in the same situation where we're just kind of coping. So even though I wanted to release spring stuff, some of you are buying tank tops because it's summer.
Mm.
I still haven't even updated them. So hopefully I'll get to that soon. But yeah, online, definitely. The online shop's always open. And
What's the website?
sorry.
What's the website? You gotta.
Oh, whiteoutworkshop.com.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Shameless self promotion is what we're all about
Oh yeah, that's not my style. I think you know that. I'm not gonna be like, hey, go to my online shop, give me all your business.
here.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
No, we love to see it. Okay, so my last question to
Oh
close
gosh.
out the show.
Yep.
I hope you're ready for it. So, in life, in art, and in your heart of hearts, Natasha, what is your signature?
Definitely everything happens for a reason. So whether it's good or bad, whatever it is, there's something to be learned. So yeah, everything happens for a reason.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Take notes, people. Uh, Natasha, thank you so much for joining us. You are a pro. It's always great to see you at our shows, and hopefully
Oh, I
I'll
can't
get
wait
to
to
have
be
some.
back. I miss everybody
Yeah,
so much.
for sure, for sure. Hope to see you again in the fall. Till then, give Baron all my
He's still barking. He
wishes.
was just barking. So, of course, he's not well behaved. The one time he has to be quiet is the one time he's not.
Well, you're a great dog mom, and he's a lucky pup. So
Oh yeah.
anyway, thanks again for everyone tuning in, and we'll catch you next time.
All right. Thanks. Bye.
Thanks. Bye bye.